What is happening? Welcome to the First Pitch Podcast, your morning podcast from pitcherlist.com. My name is Nick Pollock. Today is May 5th, and we are going to talk about baseball. Come on by on Twitch, twitch.tv/pitcherlist. I do this live every Monday through Friday, 8:30 a.m. to 11 a.m. Eastern Time. We talk about, obviously, this podcast, my streaming rankings, and I go over pitchers with video that you request. Come on by. It's absolutely free for you, and it's a wonderful way to start your morning. But news from yesterday, Shohei Ohtani is starting today. Pablo Lopez is starting tomorrow. Alex Kirilloff is dealing with a wrist injury. Monitor that situation. Really, really unfortunate considering he had such a nice stretch of games over the weekend. Jacob deGrom has an inflamed right lat. Mets are not placing him on the IL for now. I really, really hope it's maybe just one start skipped, something like that, because, of course, it is Jacob deGrom. Amir Garrett has been suspended for 7 games for, quote, inciting a benches clearing incident. He will appeal it. Merrill Kelly is on the IL for COVID. Same goes for Kevin Gausman. Christian Yelich went back on the IL, and he'll be there indefinitely. Very, very bad news there. Especially inside of our Guillotine League, where I think he just went for over $300 in FAB. I know, it's crazy. Luke Voigt should return sometime next week. Carlos Carrasco is close to his return, hitting 96-mile-per-hour fastballs in a sim game. He's hitting it. He's not actually hitting them at the plate. Of course not. Sixto Sanchez is 3 to 4 weeks away. And lastly, Chris Sale finally threw off a mound, which is also very exciting. Hitting performances from yesterday's games courtesy of Jim Chatterton. Andrew McCutchen hit 2 home runs. And while the beginning of McCutchen's season has been a nightmare, he has improved as of late. He's been leadoff for the Phillies all season. And yet until May 1st, he was slashing 175, 309, and 250. His walk rate was decent enough, but he couldn't get a hit. However, the last 3 games, he has 3 hits of his 4 home runs of the season. Josh Rojas, 1 for 3 with a home run and a walk. The last 5 games, he is slashing 421, 450, and 1.105 with 5 homers, 7 runs, and 6 RBI. He's still striking out close to 30% of the time, though. And despite the many home runs recently, his max exit velocity is only 104.2 miles per hour. We want that closer to 110. Adolis Garcia went 3 for 5 with a home run and 3 RBI. This is back-to-back games with a home run for Garcia, who was smoking the ball yesterday, all 3 hits above 100 miles per hour. He had a rough 9-game stretch, hitting 188 with a carry over 30% ever his multi-home run game on April 23rd, yet he still has a 20% barrel rate. Ben Haller has yesterday's reliever notes. There were only 5 recorded saves from the 16 games yesterday, with Rangers closer Ian Kennedy notching his 8th save of the year to move into 2nd place behind Mark Melancon on the MLB saves leaderboard. Kennedy gave up a hit to the first batter he faced, but forced Willens Astudillo into a double play to end the game. Matt Barnes can do no wrong for the Red Sox right now, entering the game in the top of the 8th with 1 out and the bases loaded. Barnes forced Miguel Cabrera to ground into a double play to end the inning before returning to the 9th to pitch a 1-2-3 inning and pick up his 8th save of the season. Barnes was MLB's reliever of the month in April, and he is continuing his fine form into April. Another solid option for saves right now is Pirates closer Rich Rodriguez, who threw 9 of his 14 pitches for strikes in a clean 9th inning against the dangerous Padres lineup to record his 5th save of the year. Remarkably, the 31-year-old righty has now made 23 consecutive scoreless outings dating back to last season. And lastly, we have Cubs closer Craig Kimbrell, whose hot streak is also over after he blew his first save of the season against the Dodgers in the first game of the doubleheader. Max Muncy took him deep in the top of the 7th. Starting pitcher performances from yesterday's games, I led with Dylan Cease in my daily SP Roundup. If you don't know that and you don't hear the pitcher you wanted me to talk about, well, guess what? I review all 30 starters every single day. It's the SP Roundup. It's on the site at pitcherlist.com. You should obviously be reading that every single day. But yeah, Dylan Cease, 6 innings pitched, 0 earned runs, 1 hit, 3 walks, and 11 strikeouts. So is this Dylan Cease all of a sudden figuring it out? In some ways, yes. His slider is so good, over 50% CSW. Yesterday, he's doing such a good job locating that glove side and down. His fastball avoided the heart of the plate, but it's still erratic. And what we saw in the previous outing that got me really excited against the Tigers was that Dylan Cease was putting his fastball inside the zone with confidence and consistency. This one was a little more erratic to it and wild. But when he did execute in the zone, it was effective to the Reds. And he also had a changeup that he floated in the zone often and got away with. Didn't really hit his spots with it. I'm conflicted. On one hand, this is the Reds. Got 11 strikeouts, and his stuff is looking very good. On the other, it's not quite the command shift that we're looking for from Cease, and I'm not exactly sure if he is an auto pickup. I believe he gets the Twins next, and that's a bit of a debate, but I'm okay if you want to grab Cease and just kind of see how that one goes. Shane McClanahan is just fantastic. That's pretty much all I want to say. The major question is how long the Rays will hold him back. As he only went 4 innings yesterday, but 5 strikeouts, 2 hits, 2 walks, 0 earned runs. I mean, this is easy. McClanahan's stuff is unbelievable. I can't say this enough. If you guys remember how excited I was for Sixto Sanchez last year, it's the same thing with McClanahan here. And if he goes 5 to 6 innings and with any sort of consistency, this is an unbelievable impact to your fantasy leagues. His stuff is just so good. 100 miles per hour. Slider's missing. Bats a 93. And then a really good 83-mile-per-hour curveball, not to mention the changeup that I think is developing as well. Shane McClanahan, you are so good. So is Huascar Ynoa, 7 innings pitched there, runs 4 hits, 2 walks, 4 Ks against the Nationals. Hit a grand slam in this one, too. With Ynoa, yes, it is a little worrisome they had only 1 whiff on his fastball. However, a lot of outs on it. And his slider went about 50% once again. Usage and was fantastic. You should just be so thrilled if you have Ynoa on your team. Mitch Keller had a great start against the Padres. 5.2 innings, 0 runs, 2 hits, 2 walks, and 5 strikeouts. This is not legit, guys. He had 4 whiffs on the night. He abandoned the slider for curveballs, which is all right, but that's his third pitch, not his second. This is not something you should be jumping to the waiver wire for. Mitch Keller has not turned the corner. Alex Cobb went back to splitters nearly 50% of the time, and he had 11 whiffs. There you go. That's it. I mean, I don't need to tell you the line. You know it was good. 8 strikeouts, 5 innings pitched, 0 earned runs, 2 hits, 5 walks, though, so that is a 1.4 whip against the Rays. It is not an auto add to me. It can be a streaming option, but that's really it. This isn't something that I would trust Cobb against tough matchups. Kyle Hendricks returned, 7 innings pitched, 1 earned run, 7 hits, 1 walk, 6 strikeouts against the Dodgers. No one was starting him here, right? Because Hendricks has been struggling mightily. The Dodgers are a great offense. And you're not going to throw out Hendricks there. But you did. If you did, if you did is what I should say there. Yeah, he obviously rewarded you. I don't know if this is really Hendricks all of a sudden back. His changeup and curveball weren't really the major pitches that we've seen in the past. But his fastball command was better. He got ahead over the plate, and then he went to the edges as he got to those 0-1, 1-2 counts. That's very good to see from Kyle Hendricks, and I guess you're starting him once again. Pick him back up. Cole Irvin is someone that I have not really considered much this year. I think he's more of a Toby, and I still kind of think so, which might surprise you after his 8 innings pitched and 9K outing yesterday with 1 earned run, 3 hits, and 1 walk. Irvin got the Jays and surprisingly silenced them here. This wasn't Oakland, not in Dunedin. But Irvin, to me, it's a fastball that finds the edges effectively. I mean, this essentially was his best commanded start. I'm not too impressed with the entire repertoire, though. I think it just speaks more to a Toby. So he's not a must-add. He's not someone you have to go off and go to the waiver wire. I do not think he's going to do another start like this or have another start like this anytime soon. 4 others I really want to mention. I got to mention the 2 Hermans. We got Domingo and Marquez. Marquez was just such a disappointment. I mean, anyone that has Marquez on their rosters, it's just, this is it. This is the headache, you know? I mean, sure, this was Coors against a Giants offense that has proven itself not terrible. So that was a risky play, and if you followed the rule set, do not start him at home, you would have avoided this, but it was tempting. I get it. He just 2 starts ago, curveballs and sliders were both there, and this is incredibly frustrating. You know what you signed up for, though. There are going to be good starts from Marquez down the road. And on the other side, Domingo Germán had his fastball velocity, 93, 94. It was lovely. His curveball was fantastic. Yes, 3 earned runs, but I think that's just really the home runs they allowed to Brantley and Bregman. 5 innings pitched, 4 earned runs, 1 hit, and 6 strikeouts. You should be adding Germán if he is on your wire. Then lastly, we have Eric Lauer and Nick Pavetta. Yeah, I know. I didn't really expect to talk about those two. Nick Pavetta went against the Tigers, 5 innings of 8 strikeouts, 3 earned runs, 6 hits, 2 walks, and 3 earned runs. Pavetta's slider was pretty good in this one. It's not the exact Blake Snell blueprint I want quite yet. He hasn't polished his curveball and slider. But I think the slider is working good enough. He gets the Rangers over the weekend. I think I'm down for that. And Eric Lauer, believe it or not, Eric Lauer, went against the Phil, 6 innings, 2 earned runs, 8 hits, 0 walks, and 7 strikeouts. The interesting thing here is that his cutter has gone from about 87 miles per hour to over 90 miles per hour, and he had a ton of success with it. That changes things a lot with Eric Lauer. He's throwing 92 on that fastball. He also has like a legitimate breaker as well. There's something to this, and I'm very curious. It's Eric Lauer, so I'm not going to jump after one start, like jump in, but definitely consider, especially those in deeper leagues, Eric Lauer could be doing something super good all of a sudden. All right, looking forward to today. Here is Mark with the weather. Thanks, Mark. My streamer today is Martin Perez against the Tigers. It's a lefty against the Tigers, and he has a Red Sox offense. You could sneak a very lovely win here with this stream. And as always, I like to take a question from the Twitch chat and answer live on this podcast. If you want to get this shout out, you just got to go to twitch.tv/pitcherlist between 8:30 and 11 a.m. I generally record this podcast around 9 a.m. Eastern time, so definitely tune in at least for that. Magic Oriole asks today, is Tyler Mahle's start against the Dodgers something to be concerned about moving forward? I wouldn't. I really wouldn't be too concerned. He gets Cleveland next. Tyler Mahle is a fantastic pitcher. He's going to have four-seamers up and sliders down. He didn't quite have the exact four-seamer performance that we normally see. I'm not concerned whatsoever. He is still going to be a very valuable asset for your teams through the entire season. But that's going to be it for today. So my name is Nick Pollock, and that is everything you need to know.